Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to explore the incredible, bizarre, and sometimes seemingly impossible realities of animal survival. We often walk through nature just kind of assuming we understand its basic rules, right? You eat to live, mothers protect their young, and the biggest, toughest predators rule whatever domain you put them in. Well, the natural world doesn't really care about our assumptions. Today, we're diving into the extreme edges of biology. We're going to pull from some fascinating sources and scientific observations to see what actually happens when the absolute limits of survival are tested. Get ready, because we're looking at strategies so extreme they almost defy logic.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, hummingbirds surviving the night. Second, spiders, the ultimate sacrifice. Third, great whites refuse captivity. And finally, unveiling deep-sea mysteries. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Hummingbirds surviving the night. Let's start with a creature that pushes the absolute limits of daytime energy and nighttime survival.
Now think about the sheer biological math at play here. Imagine running a car engine at maximum RPMs constantly, without ever letting off the gas. A hummingbird's heart can beat up to 1,200 times per minute while in flight. It's wild. They're essentially living right on the edge of a metabolic cliff. And to fuel this frantic, high-speed lifestyle, they have to consume up to half their own body weight in sugar every single day. But here's the biological puzzle. What happens when the sun goes down? They can't feed in the dark? Running an internal engine that fast overnight should technically mean starvation by morning. They would literally burn themselves out before the sun even rises. So how do they cheat death every single night? Well, to survive the darkness, hummingbirds enter a state called torpor. And look, this isn't just a deep sleep. This is essentially pausing their biological clock entirely, so they don't burn through those tiny energy reserves. It's literally a state of suspended animation. Their body temperature, which is normally quite hot, absolutely plummets. They actually become cold to the touch. In fact, if you were to find a hummingbird in torpor, you might honestly mistake it for being dead. It's this extreme daily shutdown mechanism that prevents them from starving in the dark. It is, without a doubt, nature's ultimate power-saving mode.
50. That's it. Their heart rate plummets from that frantic 1,200 beats per minute down to as low as 50. They enter a near-death standstill until dawn. It's an absolutely astonishing physiological feat. Just imagine your own heart rate dropping to a mere 4% of its normal resting speed just to save on the grocery bill. When morning finally comes, it actually takes them up to an hour to literally warm up their engines. They have to vibrate their flight muscles to generate enough heat until their heart rate explodes back up to operating speed.
Section 2. Spiders, the ultimate sacrifice. Okay, let's see how survival strategies can shift from the beautifully delicate to the truly disturbing.
So the crucial point here is a concept called matrophagy. It's a shocking reproductive strategy that sounds exactly like a pure horror story. But, in the harsh arithmetic of nature, it's actually a highly calculated evolutionary success. We see this in certain species, like the velvet spider. In environments where food is incredibly scarce and predators are literally everywhere, a mother spider faces a pretty grim reality. Her newly hatched babies will probably starve. So evolution has provided a gruesome but incredibly effective solution. She becomes the food. Let's break down how this macabre timeline actually plays out. First, the spiderlings hatch into the mother's protective web. But it's step 2 that is truly wild. The mother prepares. Actually, scratch that. She doesn't just passively die. Her body actually begins to actively break down her own internal organs, liquefying them into this nutrient-dense soup. She'll regurgitate some of this to feed them initially, but eventually we hit step 3, ultimate consumption. The mother actively invites her own end. The spiderlings swarm her, inject her with venom and enzymes, and they ultimately consume her entirely to gain the critical head start they need for survival. By sacrificing herself, she ensures her genes live on, fortified for a hostile world. It's horrifying to us for sure, but it's an absolute masterpiece of evolutionary survival.
Section 3. Great whites refuse captivity. Transitioning from the macabre to the majestic, let's look at an apex predator that outright rejects human boundaries.
Now this brings up a really stark physical and biological reality. Out in the open ocean, great whites are pelagic roamers. They are built for thousands of miles of endless deep water. They practice something called ram ventilation, which basically means they must constantly swim forward just to breathe. Compare that to the constraints of a glass tank. The endless dynamic mechanics of the ocean are fundamentally at odds with restrictive captivity. Whenever humans have tried to put great whites in tanks, even massive million-gallon ones, the sharks inevitably decline.
They bump into walls, they completely refuse to eat, and they literally struggle to breathe. They are biologically wired for the infinite.
The real science of why captivity fails mostly comes down to sensory overload. Great whites have incredibly highly tuned sensory systems, specifically the ampullae of Lorenzini. These are tiny pores on their snouts that detect the microscopic electromagnetic fields of living prey. Out in the ocean, this is an absolute superpower. But in a glass tank, surrounded by pumps, filters, electrical equipment, and vibrating glass, it is absolute torture. The tank completely overwhelms their highly tuned sensory systems, causing massive sensory overload. Think about it like being locked in a tiny closet with a heavy metal concert blaring at maximum volume. They don't just get sad in captivity. Their environment physically short-circuits their biology.
Section 4. Unveiling Deep Sea Mysteries. Finally, we leave what we know and plunge into the ultimate frontier, following the pioneering explorations charted by organizations like the Schmidt Ocean Institute.
Way down in the trenches of the ocean, thousands of meters below the surface, the rules of biology are entirely rewritten. There's zero sunlight down there, which means absolutely no photosynthesis. The pressure is immense. We're talking equivalent to having an elephant stand on your thumb. Yet nature just continues to thrive in absolute darkness and crushing pressure. We're seeing strange new phenomena like hydrothermal vents, spewing superheated toxic chemicals that would kill any surface life instantly. But down there, we find undiscovered species of crabs and tube worms that use chemosynthesis, literally turning toxic chemicals into energy. It showcases completely alien biological adaptations. Every single time submersibles dive, they find life that just shouldn't exist, constantly rewriting our understanding of what is biologically possible.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought. We've seen birds that basically pause death every single night, spiders that literally feed themselves to their young, sharks whose sensory superpowers make them absolutely uncapturable, and alien ecosystems thriving in complete darkness. The more we explore these extremes, the more we realize just how much of Earth's biology is still out there, waiting to be discovered. If life can adapt to these impossible conditions, what else is out there, just waiting to completely shatter our understanding of nature? Thank you so much for exploring these boundaries with me today in this explainer. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.